In the previous topic, we learned how to print text using Kotlin. But coding is not just about printing text, it is about dealing with data and performing some operations on this data. So let's start this topic by talking about data and means of handling it. Look at these arithmetic statements. Now here, these numbers here are the data, and we are using these arithmetic operators to perform some operations on this data, right? Now in the programming world, data is not used directly, but we store this data inside variables and then perform operations on these variables. Wondering what variables are? So, variables are like names that are used to store data. You can think of them like containers that store data. Now, why do you think we need variables in programming? Why can we not directly work with the data? Let's look at this example to understand the reasons. So let's say we want to write a program where the user enters his phone number. We pick up this phone number and process it to take out the first 4 digits. Then, we use these 4 digits as the user ID for the user. But there is one problem here. We do not know the phone number of the user while writing the program, right? So then, how do we write the program? Well, that's where variables come into the picture. Variables help us deal with data that we don't know upfront. So, we write the program by using variables. So we can say that a variable number will hold the phone number of the user. Then we will write the code to do some operations on this variable number and store the extracted 4 digits in the variable user ID. And then we can write a print statement to print the user ID. This means that we can write the program even when we don't know the data. Next, we know that not just one, but a lot of users, perhaps hundreds, thousands, or even millions, might come on our app and enter their phone numbers or any other data, right? This is where variables come into use again. We can use only one variable to temporarily store and process all these values entered by the user at one input field. So, variables help us make our programs efficient. So we've understood the 2 reasons why variables are used. One, so that we can work with unknown data, and second, to make our programs more efficient. Now, variables in Kotlin are of 2 types, var and val variables. Var stands for variable and val stands for value. Var and val are keywords and so they have special meaning. Variables which use the keyword var can not only store some data but the data inside them can change. So, the contents of a var variable can be reassigned. However, variables with keyword val cannot change the value stored in them. Once a value is assigned to a val variable, it cannot be changed. So, we can say that the contents of a val variable cannot be reassigned. So, we can say that var variables are mutable while val variables are immutable. Now, till now, we have learnt that variables are used because the values stored in them can change. But why do we need variables whose values cannot change? That is, why do we need val variables? So, when the complexity of the code increases, your code will be cleaner, safer, and easier to understand if the value of your variables does not change. However, it may not always be possible to have variables with unchangeable values, and hence, it is better to have both and use them according to the requirement of the program. So, that was about the 2 keywords used to define different variables. Click next to learn more about variables. Now, let's look at the syntax for defining a variable in Kotlin. This is the syntax for defining a variable in Kotlin. This is how it will look like for var and val variables. Now let's understand the syntax. What do we mean by identifier? Identifiers are nothing but the variable names that we create to store values. They help us identify or refer to elements in the program, hence the name identifier. So, these variable names like X, mobile number, username, password, etc. are called identifiers in programming. Here are some naming conventions that must be followed for writing identifiers in Kotlin. The identifier must begin with an underscore or a letter. The identifier can have letters, numbers, or underscores. Uppercase and lowercase characters are distinguished, so my name will be different from my name. Now, let's open our IDE and define some variables. Remember, we need to do this inside the main function. So, let's declare some var and val variables here. Now, let's use the println function to print the values of these variables. If you notice, last time when we were writing the hello world function, we had written the words that needed to be printed in double quotes here, inside the println function. But we have not done so this time. That's because we have stored the values to be printed in the variables, and therefore we will simply mention the names of the variables here inside these brackets of the println function. Now let's look at the output. Here it is. So that was all for this video. Click next to learn more about variables. Now, we had said that the values of var variables can be changed. So let's try and do so. So here, we add 40 to the original number of this variable whole number and then assign the new value to the variable whole number itself. Let's run the program and look at the output. Yes, the new value of whole number is printed now. So, let's change the values of the other variables too. Now, if you notice here, we have not changed the types of values that we assigned to these variables in the first place. So, for example, this variable had an integer value here and has an integer value here too. Similarly, this variable has a decimal number as its value at both these places. And it's the same for the sentence and boolean variable too. What does this mean? Can we not change the type of value that has been assigned to a variable once? Well, let's try to do so. So here, let's change the value of this variable from integer to a decimal number. Now if you see, the IDE marks this with a red underline. This red underline is the IDE's way of telling us that something is wrong. So let's hover over it and see what it says. So here, the IDE says that type mismatch required int found double. This means that the variable whole number is of the type integer and it does not support the value whose type is double. We will look at the meaning of type double and integer in just a minute, but let us complete this section first. So you see that the IDE is checking the type of these variables before we even run the program, and it is pointing out errors. What this error statement is trying to tell us here is that once a variable stores some kind of value, we cannot store a different kind of value in it later. This is what is meant by statically typed language. Does this term ring a bell? Yes. We discussed it in the last topic and told you that we will come back to it. Revisit the definition of statically typed language in topic 1 and see if the definition makes sense to you now. So now, let's come back to the type double and type integer. Well, these are known as data types. So, what are data types? As the name suggests, they refer to the type of data. And by now you must have understood that each variable has a data type. In technical terms, we can say that in computer programming, a data type or type is an attribute of data which tells the compiler how the programmer intends to use the data. This means that you tell the Kotlin compiler that I have declared this variable as a particular type and I will be using this variable to store such values only. But wait, while we were declaring these variables, we did not tell the compiler how we intend to use them. Then how did it know? This is the magic of Kotlin, and it is known as type inference. Again, we mentioned this term in the previous topic. Let's see what we mean by type inference. So let's look at this variable fractional number here. Now here, by initializing this variable with a decimal number, the compiler automatically understood that we want to use this variable to store a decimal number, and hence this variable is of decimal type. This property of Kotlin that lets it understand the data type of a variable automatically is known as type inference. This means that we do not need to tell the compiler explicitly that we want this data type for this variable. The compiler is smart and understands this on its own. Super cool, right? Now let's look at some data types used in Kotlin. Here is a list of all the data types that are used in Kotlin. We have seen most of them already. Int data type has integer values, both positive and negative. Double data type has decimal numbers. Boolean data type has only two values, either true or false. Character data type has characters. String data type has a sequence of characters like words, sentences, etc. Float data type has decimal numbers. Double and float may seem very similar to you right now, but we will look at their differences just a moment later. Now let's go back to the IDE where we had declared variables and identify them according to their data types. These are variables with integer data types. These variables have double data type. These variables have Boolean data type. And these have string data type. Now, let us declare variables with character data type. This is how we do it. If you see, we use double quotes to declare strings and single quotes to declare characters. Remember this well since we will be using a lot of string variables in this training. Now, let's declare variables with float data type. This is how we do it. Now if you see, the only difference between this double data type and this float data type is the character F. Here is a small activity for you. Go online and search for the differences between double and float data types in Kotlin. So that was all about data types. Now, we have tried to change the values of these var variables, but not of the variables with val keyword, right? We know that we cannot change these values, but learning code is all about trying new things. So let's change their values and see what happens. So, we have changed the value of this variable here. But look, the IDE again shows some error by underlining this in red. Let's hover over it and see what it says. So here, the IDE says that val cannot be reassigned. That is what we know too. So, we have established that we really cannot change the values of val variables. Now, we have looked at the syntax for declaring variables. But there is one more method in which variables can be declared. This is the second syntax that can be used for declaring variables in Kotlin. So if you see, in this new syntax, we have added a colon after the identifier and then the data type for this variable. Now let's declare a few variables by using this new syntax. That's how we do it. But you must be wondering that why do we need to give the data type of the variable when the compiler can detect it on its own? Yes, you're partially right. We do not need to do it. But sometimes we use variables without initializing them. That is, without giving them an initial value. and it is then that we need to tell the data type of the variable to the compiler. Don't worry if you do not relate much to this at the moment. We will revisit it when we actually get to coding. So that was all about variables. Click next whenever you are ready. So, we have learnt about variables and data types. Now let's move on to the next step and learn how to perform operations on these variables. We already know that we need operators to perform operations. But what are operators? Operators are symbols which are used to perform some operations or a set of operations on a variable or a set of variables. Kotlin has a set of operators to perform arithmetic, assignment, comparison, and increment-decrement operations. Here is a list of operators that are used in Kotlin to perform various operations. We will go through each one of them one by one. So let's start with arithmetic operators. Remember these operators that we used in maths? How much we loved them. Nah, just kidding. So here we have the addition operator which adds the two numbers a and b. This subtraction operator subtracts b from a. And the rest of these operators also work just like they worked in maths. This modulus operator may be new for some of you, and it is used to divide a by b and returns the remainder of this division as the result. So that was about the arithmetic operators. But let's look at how these are used in programming. So let's open our IDE, start a new program and start typing. So we have initialized two variables here using the val keyword. Why have we used val and not var? Well, that's because we have given the values of these variables and we want to perform the operations on these two values only. We do not want to change these values. Hence, we use the val keyword. Next, if you see, the variable result uses the keyword var, because the value of the result will change depending on the operation that is performed on the two numbers. Also, if you see, we have not initialized this variable result with any initial value. That's because we do not have a value for this variable as of now. This variable will get a value only when some operation is performed on the two numbers, and then the resultant value will be stored in this variable result. And since we are not giving it an initial value, how will the compiler know what data type we want to use for it? Therefore, we have given the data type that we want for this variable here. This is what we were talking about in the previous video when we said that sometimes we need to mention the data type of a variable explicitly. Now let's run this program and look at the output. So if you see, the output of addition, subtraction and modulus operators is a decimal value, even though they could have been written as an integer. That's because we specified the data type of the result variable to be double and it cannot be changed. So that was all about arithmetic operators. Click next to look at other operators. Let's look at comparison operators now. Look at these two people. If I ask, is person A taller than person B? The answer will be yes. But if I ask, is person B taller than person A? The answer will be no. Comparison operators help us ask such questions in our programs. They help us compare variables, and just like in this case the answer is either a yes or a no, the output of comparison operators is either true or false. So, what are comparison operators? As the name suggests, comparison operators help in making a comparison between the two variables with which they are used. And when we compare the two, we get results. Hence, comparison operators help us make decisions in the program. This here is a list of comparison operators. In front of each operator, we have listed down their functions too. So, this is known as the equality operator. It helps us see if the value of variable A is equal to the value of variable b or not. And since the answer can either be yes or no, the result of this operation will be a Boolean value, that is, true or false. Next, we have the not equal to operator. This checks if the value of variable a is not equal to the value of variable b or not. The result will again be either true or false. It will be true if the values are not equal and false if the values are equal. So then, the result of the not equal to operator will always be opposite to the result of the equality operator. Next, we have the less than and the greater than operators. You must have used them in school. They work the same way here in coding. And at the end, we have the less than or equal to and greater than or equal to operators. They check if the value of variable a is less than or equal to the value of variable b, or if the value of variable a is greater than or equal to the value of variable b, respectively. The output of all these operators will be a Boolean quantity, that is, it will either be true or false. Now, let's open our IDE and learn how to use these operators. Here, we have declared two val variables a and b and a var variable for the result. And here we have performed the operations on these variables. Now let's look at the output. Yes, we get the expected results. So that was all about comparison operators. Now let's move on to the assignment operators. So, as the name suggests, assignment operators are used to assign values to the operands. Operands is just another name given to the variables on which the operators are working. So in this example, this equal to sign is the operator and these two variables are the operands. This here is a list of the assignment operators. In this column, you can see how the operator is used. This column here shows the meaning of each operator, and seeing this, you will understand what the operator does. This last column here shows the name of the operators. So, this assignment operator assigns the value on the right-hand side to the variable on the left-hand side. The plus assign operator adds the value of a to b, and then this value is stored in variable a. The minus assign operator subtracts the value of b from the value of a, and the resultant is stored in variable a. The times assign multiplies the value of a to b, and then the result is stored in variable a. The div assign divides the value of a by b, and the result is stored in variable a. And the mod assign divides value of a by b, and the value of the remainder is stored in a. Now let's open the IDE again and learn how to use these operators. So this is how we will use them. Now let's look at the output. Notice that all outputs are of type double, since we mentioned the data type of the result variable to be double. So that was all about assignment operators. Now let's look at the last type of operators, that is the increment and decrement operators. These operators are used to increase or decrease the value of a variable by 1. These here are the two operators that are used to do so. This is the increment operator and this is the decrement operator. And this is the function that the operator intends to perform. Now let's open our IDE and practice. So this is how we will use the increment and decrement operators. Let's look at the output of this. Now there is another way to use these operators. This is how we do it. The difference is that here we have used the operator after the variable and here we are using them before the variable. Now let's look at the output of these. Well, surprisingly, the output for both methods of using them is the same. Then what is the difference? Well, we are not telling you this one. It's time for you to explore on your own. So here is a learner activity for you. Go to Google and search on the differences between prefix and postfix increment and decrement operators. I hope you do a good job of researching and finding the answer because there may be a question based on it later in the quiz. And I'm sure you would want to ace the quiz, don't you? Okay, so that was all about the various types of operators. These are the 4 types of operators we have looked at. So, we have learnt how to use them individually. But what if we want to use more than one type of operators together? Well, that's going to be a little tricky. But you remember we had the BODMAS rule in mathematics that helped us decide which arithmetic operator got precedence over the others? Well, it's the same in coding. This table here shows the order of precedence that is followed while dealing with different operators. So that was all about operators. These were some of the basic and most important operators that we will use. There are some more, but we will cover them as and when we use them in our code. Click next to learn more.